Live from TVN headquarters, it's the Never Stop Chasing Show with Reed Timmer, Ray Johnson, and Dick McGowan.
He likes the butterfly.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on the Never Stop Chasing Show. Tonight's guests are repeat guests. We got Dave Holder of Extreme Tornado Tours over there, and Rick Thomas, who was on the last one. And of course, this guy over here, Reed Timmer. Just wanted to give you guys a reminder, you can submit questions to Reed's Twitter, at Reed Timmer TVN, or through the chat on the podcast there.
And the reason we wanted to have Rick on again, he actually was so excited that he was on last time, and he actually requested to be on. And I said, yeah, it'd be great to have you. But really the reason is Rick is from Delaware, and he came to study meteorology at the University of Oklahoma. We were in the same class. Rick was always fired up about nor'easters. I had never seen one. I did chase the Frankenstorm, the blizzard up in West Virginia, but I guess you can't really classify that, as a total, a nor'easter by definition. It's kind of like the whole gust NATO tornado thing, hybrid NATO, whatever, but regardless, we have Rick here to talk about his memories of the superstorm of 93, also the storm of 91, the perfect storm, which is where a mid-latitude cyclone absorbed Hurricane Grace. And we say absorbed, but I think it's kind of more of a symbiotic relationship in terms of the weather, I would say, right? It's kind of like,
Yeah, absorbed is kind of a colloquial term, just in people.
The difference, if we were to eat a healthy diet, we'd be, strong. What's happening?
He's going to have the microphone up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Greenhorn.
Just hold it up.
There you go.
Hold the microphone like last time.
We've also got Dave here. Dave chased in Manhattan in the warm part of Hurricane Sandy. So it was basically a hurricane when it was coming ashore, right? Officially classified as one.
I don't know, actually.
And then right when it was transitioning to extratropical, we covered the backside. And poor Dave out there was scared to death. He sent me text. He's like, I can't chase this without you out here reading. I said, no, I know, be the kind of father figure for TVN. Drove all night to get out there, then the system ejected 12 hours early, and our plan was to be on the coast of Atlantic City and then follow the storm inland and then chase the snowstorm, but we realized we couldn't get there in time, drop south and chase the blizzard. But Rick...
What do you think John Hockenberry would have thought of your decision there?
Yeah. John Hockenberry interviewed a different Reed. Rick's referring to an interview I did when I was 19. Was a young meteorologist. Didn't know there was a storm chasing community, and did all these interviews and said like Mother Nature was going medieval on us or something like that. And then I realized real fast that there are haters out there. But
So Dave,
That was a big splash though. Reed just did a cannonball right in the storm chasing community. Pool there.
So Dave, who you were chasing with? What was it like up there in New York when you guys first got there? Just run us through what you guys did on when you guys prepared for Hurricane Sandy.
Well, I was up there with Mr. Mike Scantlin and Chad Cowan and Blake Knapp, and we flew into Baltimore because that was what the best.
wait, where'd you fly into?
Baltimore.
Wow.
Baltimore?
Yeah, Baltimore.
Why Baltimore?
Well, because it was the cheapest flight that we could find.
You guys are divas like that. You could fly too. We had to drive all night. Drove 48 hours. To
Well, we
chase
had planning that was extended well beyond 12 hours.
What was the general mood of the people there? Were they panicking? Or,
No one cared. We got to Lower Manhattan on Sunday morning.
I saw you guys were working really hard, checking into bars, some restaurants, and we'll talk about why the live stream wasn't.
Anyways,
About the live stream.
Well, Bloomberg didn't Bloomberg say it's not going to be like a tropical storm or hurricane surge?
Did he really?
He said that 2 days before.
I never heard that. I mean, what is a surge, whether it's caused by a hurricane or tropical storm? If even a tsunami surge, it's still a wall of water that's coming that's going to cause damage.
Well, I think basically he was saying it wasn't going to be a big deal.
No, I don't know. Well,
I think people were just. I think the whole Irene thing the year before, because we had a lot of people asking us, "Is this going to be as bad as Irene? Does it compare to Irene?" And we kept saying, "Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot worse than Irene." So you better get prepared.
And the thing is, you'd think that after Katrina, after the April 27 tornadoes, that if one storm comes through and it doesn't pan out, like suddenly they're like, I'm never taking cover again. Like I think that you've always got to treat it like it's the worst case scenario.
Right, but people
no matter what.
don't. People have a short memory.
I think the New Jersey governor did a pretty good job with what he did, telling people they need to evacuate. And I think New York City.
I saw a lot of the politicians too in New Jersey that were just going around in kayaks, like going house to house to make sure like people are okay. I mean, that's the kind of person I'd want to vote for.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, after we were hauled up in Manhattan for 3 days without power and cell phone service and showering or any of that, we went down to the Jersey Shore and covered that aspect of it and saw a lot of the damage there. It's pretty crazy. Actually, you mentioned that Rick was from the Northeast, but I grew up in that area too. Actually, the point we went to in the Jersey Shore, I went to once every year and every summer, and so it was kind of had a personal touch to it.
I know it's kind of a vibe. Do you and Rick think that you're better than say a Dick or I, or Mike from the Heartland because you're from the East Coast?
Oh yeah, much better. Of course, we're better. Yeah.
No,
I mean,
you're-
What kind of stuff did you guys see? I mean,
I'm sure
The Northeast.
I'm sure the feeling's mutual.
You guys have like the fashion out there, like
The fashion.
the fashion stuff.
Obviously, we've taken that fashion with us back to the country.
By the way, speaking of fashion, I'd like to give a shout out to Middleton High School. I just did a speaking event out in Boise, and really good time out there. And I said that I'd wear the Middleton football shirt. I was in Science Olympiad, weighed about 100 pounds my junior and senior year, so never was able to play football. So I'm not wearing this, because I have a football background, but I'm wearing it to support Middleton. And,
Great.
It's
awesome.
right.
Yeah.
Go Middleton. What's their mascot?
The Vikings.
Go Vikings.
Go Vikings.
So the Superstorm, like, what was it like? You saw Isaac, obviously the footage that we had, and Mike, I know you experienced Isaac. So what were the differences kind of between chasing Isaac and chasing the Superstorm? And Mike, you can always chime in back there. If
Yeah,
you
you
want.
don't have to hide behind the camera.
I think the real big thing about Sandy was that it directly affected a major metropolitan area that doesn't deal with that kind of weather on a regular basis. I mean, this was an unprecedented event. I mean, I heard a lot of people, a lot of knowledgeable people saying that this was an 1,000-year event. So when you have a surge, and everything kind of lined up correctly.
Perfectly.
We had that phasing of the trough with the hurricane. We had
A negative tilted trough.
The
negative-
tide,
right,
too.
Right. We had astronomical high tide. We had basically the peak of the storm coming in at high tide. So all these factors really kind of phased into just chaos basically, and
Perfect storm.
the perfect right, yeah.
You got any,
Yeah, and
This probably happens a lot in the northern Atlantic when you'll have a trough coming in and it'll ingest a hurricane, but just happening over land
well, right,
at
and
that latitude.
and the other key factor about this whole thing was the blocking high up in Greenland, which basically steered the hurricane right into the northeast. Because previously,
It slingshotted it.
Yeah, it really- yeah,
It hit
it
like
did.
12 hours before it was supposed to.
Yeah.
I would say slingshot.
okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, slingshot. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the models took it way out to sea until maybe a week before it actually happened. Then some of the models started catching on to this idea that hey, it might not be able to
So was there
curve out
plenty?
to sea like they usually do. It might
And the surge came in fast too. So it,
Really
it basically
fast.
was like a tropical cyclone surge, because one thing about a storm surge is that it's generated when the storm is way out to sea. Like for Katrina, when it was a Category 5, it was a massive storm. And as it came ashore, it weakened in terms of the wind speed.
Right.
But it takes a while for the water to die down. So
Right.
you still have that wave
Right.
coming in, and you still had a Category 5 storm surge. In fact, a world record storm surge with Katrina.
Right.
And in this case, you had a pretty powerful hurricane. And as the wind field expanded, you had this huge wave of water. And even if it did weaken as it was coming ashore, that wall of water would still come in. And then the orientation relative to the shoreline of the easterlies, just piling all the water into those bays and inlets. I mean, our friend Brian O'Toole was in Hoboken, and I mean they got
that's
slammed
slammed
there.
there.
The last text I heard from him, I was chasing the blizzard, and he's like, "I gotta go pull my sister out of the floodwaters. I'll talk to you later." And I didn't hear from him in like 2 or 3 days.
I mean, I could believe it too. When the surge came in, it came in so quickly, and people were They didn't believe it. They had their cars parked down.
Yeah, we
on
could
the
see
South
all
Street
it.
Seaport. We were rushing around trying to help people move their car, but it was too late. But nobody
took it seriously then?
I'll tell you what though, if I was in a car and I was trapped and looking for help, and I look up and I see Dave Holder's face right there, just a sense of calm would just take over my body. Personally.
yeah. I mean, I know the side effect too.
If you had a choice to be saved by Dave Holder, Rick Thomas, Mike Scantlin, me, Whiteneck, or Chris Chittick, who would it be? Floodwaters are rising.
Definitely Dave Holder.
Yeah.
He's the man.
I'm personally Rick Thomas. I think.
I could see Rick coming in.
Who's a better
What are
swimmer?
we talking about here?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway,
Back to like your experience. Like, what kind of stories you have for it? I mean, what's the craziest thing that went down that you saw?
Well, it was funny too because we basically almost got into an argument with our hotel. Our hotel was, between the Brooklyn Bridge and South Street Seaport, which is some of the worst flooding.
why'd you need a hotel? Like, I slept in my car for 3 days in a blizzard. Like, why?
Why not?
need
If
that,
it's going to
get
be
those
right
amenities,
there.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
As
as you were saying,
I mean, we could've-
trailer you could stay
Yeah,
at.
we were in Manhattan. We didn't need,
I still slept in my car.
you want a cookie?
We had $20,000 for the camera equipment.
Well, I had it strapped to my back. Just long
Anyways.
as you guys.
Anyway,
okay.
we basically got into an argument because they wanted to put us in the lower floor, and we're like, "This is gonna flood. You realize that, right?" And they're like, "No, we'll deal with that when it happens." We're like, "Okay, it's gonna flood. You're gonna be evacuating us to,
Naturally,
upstairs."
you remain calm, and try to reason with a guy. Naturally.
Right? Yeah, and
Naturally.
Naturally.
well, I was like, "All right, well, whatever." And then, by what time was it? That afternoon, evening. Everyone was flipping out the hotel, scrambling around.
So you think that
the people
because
started panicking because the surge started coming in.
did you tell him, hey, do you know who you're talking to? I'm Dave Holder, tour director, Extreme Tornado Tours, and then everything was probably okay then, right?
Yeah, of course. As soon as I told them who I was, they're like, okay, that's it. Yeah. Everything's good now.
But anyway, yeah, a surge came in fast, and I remember being in chasing the blizzard because we couldn't get there in time, so we dropped south. And
why couldn't you get there in time? What happened?
we left late. I mean, I had an event out in Las Vegas for Linex, and then finally they gave me the green light to go, and I was gonna go solo, but thanks, Conor McCrory came through, the Irishman. And we went after Chase the Blizzard. I couldn't hear from them in Manhattan, so we're dropping south. And the last correspondence I had with you guys, I mean, I think that I can't remember, but I think you checked into a steakhouse or something. But then I'm just kidding. But no, after that, I was doing a phone interview, and then I hear how bad it was. They're like, "This is the worst natural disaster this country has ever seen." I heard all that stuff, and then I was worried about you guys, obviously, because I hadn't heard from you in a while. And I know a lot of the footage you guys shot hasn't been seen yet, but it's going to be up pretty soon. But, did you see anybody that that was in their car that didn't get out, or was the surge coming in slow?
No, well, there were lots of people who were standing on the side of the road, and the police were freaking out because, again, I don't think they realized how bad it was going to be. We walked down towards where the old World Trade Center site, and you could see the surge coming in. We were there trying to film it, and they were just screaming at people. Get out of here!
Did you see any rescues going on or anything?
No, the only rescues that were going on was basically us trying to rescue cars that had been flooded that people had left. I think the real worst of it was down in Brooklyn and the Rockaway area there along I guess there were barrier islands near the airport in Staten Island. It was terrible from what I've heard.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It was really bad.
How close were you guys to that Queens fire?
I heard that
Yeah, that was-
Staten Island too. A lot of people there are saying that we're not getting enough attention. There's
Right.
a lot of attention elsewhere.
Right, and I think that's legitimate. There was a lot of focus on Manhattan. That's where we thought the biggest story. That is where the biggest story was. This whole event. That's why we chose to go there. But there was, I think, maybe a little bit of lacking coverage for Staten Island.
Yeah.
Manhattan has the landmarks. People see the water rushing into.
Yeah. Have you seen any of the footage of the surge in Atlantic City? Let's say the storm, came in 12 hours later like it was supposed to, and we made it to the beach at Atlantic City, which is where we would have obviously parked. Do you think that we would have had time to get out, or do you think there's a chance that the surge would have taken us out too?
I think we would have been We've been fine.
Was it
I mean,
like
there's a lot of solid structures in Atlantic City. I mean, all the hotels there, the casinos.
And for people that don't know exactly why the storm was unique meteorologically, it's basically the merger of a hurricane, which is a warm core system powered completely by the warmth of the ocean. When you have a jet stream over a hurricane, it tears it apart. So when hurricanes move into these northern latitudes, the jet stream will pick them up and carry them away, or they'll weaken or die. And wind shear is bad for a hurricane. It's powered by kind of the release of heat as condensation happens, and so it's this heat engine that develops, and it's its own entity. Whereas a mid-latitude cyclone is a trough in the jet stream. It's called cold core because the temperature decreases with height, and what powers a mid-latitude cyclone are the temperature gradients, the cold Canadian air versus the warm air. And what happened here is you had one of those mid-latitude cyclones with that temperature gradient, and the ingestion of Hurricane Sandy made that temperature gradient that much stronger. And so instead of this wind shear weakening the overall storm, it acted to intensify and just create a monster kind of tropical, extratropical hybrid. And when they do transition to extratropical, their wind fields will expand. The tropical storm force winds are out almost 600 miles. The hurricane force winds are out well over 150 miles.
For those who don't know what extratropical is, what exactly?
Well,
is that?
extratropical is like the mid-latitudes, basically. You've got the subtropics, which around 30 degrees latitude. It's pretty calm there because normally you have a lot of sinking motion. It's kind of a high pressure area, and you have an intertropical convergent zone. You have the tropics in between 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south. But then above that, above 30 degrees north are the extratropics. And that's where what dominates weather is the polar front jet stream, which is that it's where airplanes fly. It's way up high. You have this channel of fast moving air, and it's those troughs and ridges that will, troughs will create tornado outbreaks. Ridges, you have anticyclones, but then the tropics are basically south of that, where you don't have a jet stream, you don't have wind shear. That's why these tropical cyclones will thrive down there.
And this storm was the strongest storm based on pressure ever recorded north of 40 degrees.
Well, what was the
North
pressure
Carolina.
when it came ashore?
Was it like 940 something? 942?
What was the highest storm surge you guys saw?
I heard they were talking about almost like 18 feet in some areas of like Staten Island.
What'd you guys-
I think they underestimated the storm surge.
What'd you guys experience? Like how high on
I
your?
think maybe 14 feet or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
They say this current storm, Winter Storm Athena, it's named. Actually, I was looking at a storm surge plot last night.
Yeah.
They have this cool plot, and there's supposed to be a 3 to 4 foot surge from this in Atlantic City. I think that it didn't verify because I think the cold air kind of won out with this system, and you had more northerlies, northwesterlies in the backside, more offshore flow, but it made the snow worse.
I was going to say, have you seen some of the totals reported recently?
The last I saw was about 8 inches.
Yeah, Western
down,
Connecticut. And not far from New York City, just north of that area there.
And this is just your run-of-the-mill nor'easter. If this were to happen any other time, it'd be a little news story, but it wouldn't be a big deal. But the fact that all these people already are without power, and Sandy came through, made it a lot bigger, and that's why the Weather Channel decided to name it Athena.
The societal impact.
What do you think they're going to name the blizzard part of Sandy? Maybe Sandy?
I would just say Sandy.
But then they got problems with the alphabet that started at A. So we've got Winter Storm Athena on the backside of Superstorm Sandy. It's kind of weird.
Let's take our first question real quick. Tornado 1191 asked, can you explain why there were no tornadoes with Hurricane Sandy? There actually was one tornado reported in Quebec.
I heard there was one in New York, too.
But it was probably due to the lack of instability. I mean,
Low static stability.
Yeah.
It moved to the northern latitudes, and it was already injecting all this cold air. There was a huge rain shield. And when you rain things out like that, you decrease static stability in the atmosphere, the buoyancy. And to get tornadoes, you need buoyancy a little bit. You actually do need thermodynamic buoyancy, which is fueled by the heat and moisture. But when it's rained out and you don't get anything, and it doesn't take much. If you entrained a little bit of dry air into this system and there was some heating in the warm sector, there probably would have been tornadoes.
Right. But this system's hitting New Jersey in late October, not Alabama or Louisiana, Mississippi in August. So there's a bit of a difference.
Looks like, thanks, Teresa, pressure was 946 at landfall, I guess.
And some of the models were actually predicting Athena to hit around 965, 968 millibars off the coast of Maine.
Which is strong.
But it looks like that's probably not going to verify now from what I'm thinking. But it looks to me like the system's kind of shearing out. It's like instead of bombing out, intensifying, it looks like it's probably past its peak, and we should start seeing that snowfall band stretch out. It's called deformation. Usually the snow on the backside of these systems happen in the deformation zone, where you get winds that stretch out the field of precipitation. You'll see it stretch out and then move off the coast.
Do you think this is kind of the beginning of a trend for this winter? Do you think we're going to see a lot of storms, a lot of nor'easters this year?
I think we will because of El Nino, because you're going to get a lot of southern stream systems. The troughs will basically deepen further west. You'll get a surface low further south, and then that'll just kind of track along the Gulf of Mexico along the temperature gradient and come up to northeast.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience with Hurricane Sandy? I mean, what you guys left late? You and Connor.
Yeah, I went with Connor McCrory.
Where'd you guys end up?
And we ended up in Elkins, West Virginia, and our plan was to chase the blizzard. We knew, everybody had the East Coast covered, and one thing that was overlooked, I think, with Sandy was a snowstorm on the backside of a hurricane. So from a pure meteorological perspective, it was more interesting to me. It's something that I'll probably never see in our lifetime again. And, I've seen horizontal rain and flooding storm surges and, houses. I think that you guys had that covered well, and, we wanted to cover the blizzard, and so we dropped south, and also the storm was faster, but we covered the backside of the storm. We were Team B.
Were you Elkins?
Yeah, Elkins, West Virginia. And when we were driving south, it was rain.
Generous Team B.
It went from rain, Team C. We're driving south, Rick's Team B. But we're driving south, it's all rain, and you can see on the tops of the hills there starting to turn white. And then, boom, suddenly everything, heavy snow with like 4 inches of snow everywhere. We're sliding all over the place, and went down into Elkins. Drove around a lot in town, and the snowfall rates were like I've never seen before.
How does Dominator do in
It was a wet snow, wasn't it?
snowfall conditions?
Team Dominator or the Dominator itself?
The vehicle.
Yeah, the vehicle. We didn't bring the Dominator down there because it would act as a snowplow. Drop the hydraulics down, I just snowplow people's driveways and stuff.
Just drive
great
an
idea,
SUV
actually.
out there.
Honestly, if we can't get people to pay $1.99 for our episode, I might have to start shoveling driveways with the Dominator, plowing driveways.
They scrap it for parts.
So how much snow did you guys end up with there, you think, officially in Elkins?
In Elkins, I think, is 18 to 20 inches, but it's in the valley. And there's a huge difference between going up in the mountain and the valley floor.
Yeah.
Like, we would go up the mountain, and it said chains required. And, for us, that, obviously we proceeded.
Did you get scared?
Connor's an Eagle Scout, too. We're both Eagle Scouts. And so, for our streaming mount, we had a Gatorade bottle as a streaming mount. And it was collecting condensation like the whole day. So we had all this drinking water that we were collecting. We had that. We also,
There was like a drop in there, like a couple of drops.
Hey, that's enough though.
We couldn't. Snow?
You went snow?
You can't eat the snow because it burns. You have to melt it first. Because
Purify it?
Yeah, it takes so much energy to, and then you get hypothermia and all that kind of stuff. And so, but we could use the engine block to.
I think that's if you're out there for like 5 weeks or something.
Yeah, no, the key. One of the 3 TVN ideals. One of them is proactivity, and so we're thinking, we might have to live in a snow cave for 3 weeks, and that little water in the Gatorade bottle, that could mean the difference between me going out and killing a deer for food and not having enough energy to do it.
Can you kill a deer with your? Do you have what it takes to kill a deer?
I've never killed an ant. Except for my bug collection.
Because you didn't have a weapon. Can you do that?
Well, what the Timbers used to do back before.
I bet you would probably just run them down like those tribes.
Yeah, the Timbers would run after the deer until they got tired. The herd, and then they throw rocks at them, and then we
the Timber tribe.
And then that's what they use for food.
Is this true? Is this really?
Yeah, the Timbers.
Yeah, that's true.
The Timbers?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like you and that Mexican tribe.
The
hunter-gathering?
Oh, the hunters. I'm more of a. I think that the Timbers were more meat eaters, but we forage for roots and everything too. Like that kind of thing. But no, we're getting off topic.
So were you in your car the whole time then?
Yeah, that's my home. I spend more time in that car. That's my. Even if we got a hotel, I would still sleep in the car just because I feel more
Feel
comfortable.
natural
So-
there.
But also, we want to keep the stream going, the whole time, and we were updating stuff. And I was looking, and when the superstorm hits, I have a little difficulty sleeping anyway. So
Right.
yeah, it was wet, it was cold.
How's
and,
your data coverage there?
It was rough. We had, it was limited, so I wasn't able to stream audio a lot of the time. But
Right.
I think we streamed 42 straight hours. Yeah, no, come on. But the people there at Elkins were amazing. Like, we were friends with the police officers there and everything. And, like, we're driving through town. And, like, you could hear the trees snapping, like shotgun blast, because the snow was so heavy. And there was thunder snow where the lightning would illuminate the whole sky. And then suddenly we're going through Elkins. Everything's illuminated. And then, boom, everything went black.
Yeah.
And, that was when things started to get a little scary, because then there could be looting and all that kind of
That's
stuff.
well, that's how we felt in Lower Manhattan too. So once the power went out, then it was, get on guard.
Yeah.
There weren't any looting reports.
No.
At least when I remember, that's pretty amazing.
For Isaac, I know there are reports of looting in Slidell, and I remember Hurricane Rita. We were chasing Hurricane Rita with Joel and Simon from Storm Riders, and we're sitting there in a parking lot. Like everybody's gone. There's no law enforcement, and this group of guys came in and carjacked like 12 cars.
You just watched them do this?
Well, this guy came up with no shirt, obviously had a weapon, and he was like kind of trying to distract us. And like these guys are all just like driving these cars out. And if you stop it, then they kill us.
Right.
And so I kept saying, to the guy just to say, we've got chainsaws in the back of the car here. That's what I just kept saying that, to scare him so he wouldn't kill me. Not that I'd have time to I don't even know how to start a chainsaw.
Nice
I'm gonna bring a chainsaw to a gunfight. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, hey, this is Team Dominator here. You want to mess with us? Steal my... But the car ended up floating away anyway, so we should have given it away.
So you guys think?
Has Simon been on the show?
No, we need to get him on.
No,
there.
we need to get... Yeah, that's a great idea, actually.
Get Simon.
I haven't seen Simon in a while. He called me when we chased Hurricane Isaac, and he was out on Grand Island.
Yeah.
I was with Simon for Hurricane Katrina, and we both lost our Honda Accord, or lost his Honda Accord, and had to walk out of there, leave everything behind, and
I think he was in Manhattan too when we were there. I thought we might run into him, but
he was in Manhattan.
I think
was
so.
he?
Yeah.
Were you guys briefly imprisoned during Hurricane Katrina?
Yeah. So the Hurricane Katrina story.
That's a really good story.
Yeah. Now we have to talk
that
about
on the
that.
podcast. that's like the best story I think.
All right.
You have.
Well, now we have to.
Arsenal.
Because I was imprisoned.
Yeah,
by
it's hard to top that.
All right. So Simon and I. This is a long story, so bear with us. But
Good story.
I'll shorten it and be concise. But Simon and I are in a Honda Accord chasing Hurricane Katrina. We had topographic maps. Everything was all planned out. We had gas tanks. We had chainsaws. We had survival food. We had enough Vienna sausages to last 2 years. And we're driving south through Slidell, and our plan is to go to Mississippi to get the right eye wall. And we go south, and then the water's already coming over the banks. And we couldn't get that bridge over to Mississippi. But as we were going south through Slidell, there's this rusty dump truck. Like something, that movie, was it Jeepers Creepers or whatever?
Yeah.
And when that car started ramming the people, like that's what this reminded me of. And we're coming, and the guys flashed his lights at us. And I'm like, Simon, this guy's gonna try to run us off the road, eat us, and take our high-8 camera.
Those wings.
And so we went around him, and he turned around and tried to chase us, but eventually gave up. And so we couldn't go across the bridge, so we come back through town. And then here's the rusty dump truck coming at us again. And the guy gets in our lane, like he's gonna run us off the road. Okay. And Simon's freaking out, and I was freaking out too. And we're in a little white Honda Accord. Simon's like, "This guy's trying to kill us, man!" And as we get up to this full speed coming at us head on, Simon zooms into this little bank entrance. Like those entrance-exit combos. He zooms in that, and then the rusty dump truck hops the curb, comes right at us. He pulls around. We zoom out, get around him. It comes around us, and we're at a high-speed chase with a rusty dump truck and the outer bands of Hurricane Katrina with a 60-mile-an-hour wind. This guy's, literally 3 feet behind us, a huge truck. I was scared to death. So we're going, and we see these police in the distance with their lights flashing. We're flashing our lights to get their attention to let them know there's a lunatic chasing us. And the police get up and do a sideways slide. 4 of them pop out and have guns pointed at us all around the vehicle. And I'm just sitting there with my hands up with a gun right there. I'm like, yeah, I'm a storm chaser. And I just freaking out. Pulls me out of the car, and I look to the right, and it's chief of police. And I'm not gonna say what town, but he's a big guy. He's probably about 4 or 5 of me. His face is bright red. He comes up, slams me up against the vehicle.
And he was driving the dump truck, right?
Yeah. And like I was supposed to know that a dump truck with no markings. Like, I said, okay, I can pull over. Like, at least have like a little like light that you put in.
It's so
So he's
weird.
roughing me up though, pushed me against the car, and I look over at Simon, who's out of the car too, and he's looking at me getting roughed up, and he just starts laughing.
What else can you do?
A storm chaser! And so this guy was like, I want DNA tests on these guys. Don't let them out until I get back.
DNA
Yeah,
tests?
well, those are the exact words that he used, but he was, obviously, saying that
Losing his
whatever. And so they weren't allowed to let us out until he got back. So they drive us to Slidell, or they drive us to this jail, and we ended up all being friends in the end. But the guy escorted us in, and he still had his gun out in the back seat. I'm like, can't you see his camera equipment? Like, I was obviously a storm chaser, and he wouldn't talk to me, stone cold. And they put us in a basement jail cell, 3 feet by 3 feet, and all the inmates were out preparing for the storm. And like, while we were in this jail cell, they wouldn't even make eye contact. I was trying to tell them, I'm like, you guys got this wrong. Like, look at me, I'm not looting. Obviously I'm a storm chaser. Look at, why would we? And they treat us like they wouldn't talk to us. And Simon started falling asleep. And I remember looking at him, I'm like, Simon, don't leave me alone in here. So the God, you fall asleep. And finally they let me out. They let me out to pee once, And finally he got back. And I guess as soon as he got back, like boom, it was like we were people again. They just talked and they let us out. They apologized. Like they were scared of the storm, and they were happy to have us there as meteorologists. We were all friends, but the big problem is by that time it was too late to leave. The water was so high, and so I had to wade out in 2 feet of water to get all of our survival gear, all of our water, our chainsaws. And I looked down and see a clump of fire ants just like go nuts. And if I had to like bump my leg up against that, it wouldn't have been good. And I got lit up by fire ants in Isaac, and each one of those hurt so bad. But then the water kept rising, and eventually we rode out by fishing boat, or hitched a ride on a fishing boat, and then walked on an elevated railroad track, climbed over some trees, got to a highway, and we were prepared to walk 46 miles to Covington at night. We had enough water and Vienna sausages. And we're walking, and then randomly a car comes driving, and I just put my thumb up, and the guy pulled over, drove us to another place, and it was like there are no employees, no police anywhere. And the cell phones are down, no pay phones working, and thankfully we were able to find a hotel to squat in, I guess you'd say. There was like food plastered in the walls, like. Yeah. Then if you found like shelter,
It's shelter.
because everybody was chaos. And then the next day we got out and started walking down the highway. It was 95 degrees. I had the stuff in a trash bag, and I put my finger up again to hitchhike, and the guy picked us up and drove us all the way to Jackson, Mississippi. Then I called my mom, and she filed a missing persons report with CNN because she freaked out. Now she's just giving up being worried, things like that. So yeah, that's the story.
So,
It's a story I usually don't tell.
you guys think if a storm like this one that hit the Northeast, like Sandy, you think it could happen again? What do you guys think? Do you think people would take it more seriously, like knowing the effects of it now?
You take a Hurricane Bob, though, any tropical cyclone taking that path, and you get easterlies piling water up into those inlets, and it's going to be devastating.
Do you remember the superstorm in '93 being that bad with the surge aspect of it?
It's hard because inland, like where were you? Where did you grow up?
Just north of Philadelphia.
Yeah, so we're pretty similar. I grew
Close,
up in
yeah.
Westchester, which is about 45 minutes west of Philadelphia.
Yeah, you grew up in Westchester?
You guys had a
know
lot
that.
of snow from this
Really?
one, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. We were just there. Anyway.
You guys exchange emails, or?
I don't
Got
know.
a card? Just kidding. Sorry.
So, no, really, those type of storms didn't have a whole lot of impact on us. Like, I have a friend who lives in Westchester now, and I was all excited about Sandy and everything. And he kept kind of teasing me, sending me text messages like, when's this hurricane supposed to get here? When's this hurricane? Because it didn't do anything to them inland. And so really the only impact the major impact, I'll say, from nor'easters and hurricanes and things like, well, nor'easters specifically was snow. So if there wasn't snow, it really wasn't a big deal. I mean, you have some wind and some rain and whatever, and it was a coastal problem. It really wasn't an inland problem. So it was exciting for us when we had snow, and that's the superstorm. We definitely had plenty of that.
How much snow did you get in Delaware from the superstorm? Because it dropped 2 feet, or almost 2 feet in like Birmingham, Alabama. Even.
Yeah, I want to say we got, because it was a mix. It's like it started off as a mix, and then transitioned to snow, and we got about 8 or 9, 10 inches of snow, and then it finished off, which was really interesting. It finished off as like a sleet and freezing rain. So what we had was like there was like the ground. It was like the ground was displaced by a foot, and it was like an ice storm, but the ground had raised up. And so it was just this. I've never experienced anything like it before since.
Were you in Delaware at the time, or Westchester?
Where were we? 93.
It's probably different.
I was in Delaware.
It's a difference
Yeah,
of
I
what,
was in
3 or 4
Delaware.
miles?
No, it's a little ways. Because I was in like north in Bucks County, and I think we got close to 3 feet.
Yeah,
3
yeah.
feet. So
Yeah.
you remember the superstorm?
Oh yeah, it's like the craziest weather event I've ever explored.
Yeah, in Michigan we have the lake effect, and we'd get 3 to 6 inches a day.
Yeah,
but it's the
so
grinded
this
out,
isn't a
fluffy
competition.
snow, that you can just blow the driveway off. I mean,
Oh, and this Sandy beat the pressure record that was set in the.
Oh,
Superstorm,
did the
I think.
Superstorm set that?
Yeah, I
originally.
think the Superstorm
Okay.
set it originally.
and I heard a lot of people got trapped in the Appalachians too from the superstorm because it affected the whole entire Appalachian region. In terms of snow, I mean, the geographical impacts.
I
of
was
the
looking at.
superstorm
I
are
couldn't
huge.
believe the places that actually received snowfall from that storm. I was just looking at it yesterday. Like southern Alabama, I think Mobile actually had
Yeah, they had like
snow
a
from
foot
it.
or something.
Something, yeah, some crazy amount of snow in like
Yeah, and
south.
Florida got all those tornadoes.
Right.
And then then it just plowed up the coast and.
Because that's a classic kind of El Nino type system where you get a strong low, you get a warm sector, you get tornadoes, you get a huge wraparound. But I don't think you quite get the surge from that, right? Because
Well, that's what. Yeah, I was wondering. I don't remember a surge.
a lot of what causes the surge though too is the pressure fall. It's not just the wind piling up water, because the pressure fall or the pressure minimum in a hurricane will cause it to rise up because there's not as much weight above it. And so I think with this hurricane thing, you still had a very low pressure system that was coming in with this kind of bubble of water that was lifted up. And so the storm surge was kind of like a hurricane-like storm surge, so almost the opposite.
Well,
of
I
what-
mean, and it hit the coast. It didn't just tail out to sea like.
It hit the
most of
coast
these
fast.
things do. Right. It's slingshot, I think, is probably the term we should.
And one thing to remember too with a system like this, when it's moving at 40 miles an hour, the easterlies that are piling up all that water, you have to add the storm motion to those winds too. So you subtract. It's like when we intercept tornadoes. If you have a northerly moving tornado, the right side is really strong when it's moving fast, whereas the left side can be weaker. So a lot of times you'd want to intercept on the left side of a northerly moving tornado. But
Got another question here. In episode 7 of Tornado Chasers, are you using contours on the rockets? Do we use contour?
yeah, it was contour cams. Yeah, and recovering that was, if you watch the episode, recovering it wasn't too difficult because Mother Nature basically shot the rocket back at us, and then it landed in some bushes, and we recovered it. But it worked. The tracking system actually worked, so we could have, we went back way after the chase and used our GPS trackers to find them. And I got a question here from Courtney McFawn, CDN Storm Chaser, Canadian Storm Chaser. What is the projected path for this nor'easter anyways? Is it going to affect Atlantic Canada? I know Rick, Dave, you guys have been looking at the models closely on this one. What do you think?
No, I think it really kind of intensified actually already, and I think that so once you start losing that warm air advection, the way the system's designed, the system's going to kind of fall apart, and I don't think it's going to be as strong as what we've seen the last few hours. I think it reached its maximum already.
What's interesting about this pattern is it's not really a progressive pattern. Progressive is when the troughs blast across the North Atlantic over to England, and that's more of a positive North Atlantic oscillation pattern where the jet stream just goes from point A to point B. But when you have a negative NAO, which is the pressure difference across the northern Atlantic, it almost acts as a dam to the jet stream. So if the jet stream's a river and you got a negative NAO, it'll dam it up and cause it to buckle. And actually, the NAO was the most negative it's been in a long time, maybe ever, when Sandy hit. And that's why it caused the jet stream to buckle. You had a negatively tilted trough with a blocking high. And we still kind of have that same pattern now with a negatively tilted trough, and it's not allowing the systems to eject. They just kind of
It's the same thing
peter out.
that happened when we had those massive snowstorms, not last winter, but the winters before that. The North
03
Atlantic
was a big one,
Oscillation
yeah.
was very negative.
Yeah. And I think the best setup, it seems to me, for a nor'easter is when you have an El Nino in place, so you have a strong subtropical jet stream and polar jet, creates the trough to dig. And at the same time, you have a negative NAO, so you get blocking. And then you have these systems coming in the southern stream, and they want to follow the temperature gradient. And you've got the warm Gulf Stream waters coming up the East Coast. You've got the cold Canadian air, and they'll just follow that temperature gradient. Just like you're treating the mustard and the mayonnaise when you're out there storm chasing on the road.
Right.
The mayonnaise being kind of cold air or something, and the mustard being the cold Canadian air. You're supposed to talk in analogies when you talk about science meteorology. That's what I've been taught. So that's what they taught.
I thought that was like a highway metaphor. I didn't know. Like,
on Storm
yellow
Chasers,
and
though,
then
like
white.
when I was trying to talk about the jet stream, like the producer would be like, "No, gotta explain it so people
Layman's
can
terms.
understand." I was like, "All right, the fast wind at the level where planes fly," and he's like, "Yes, yes." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
People know what a jet stream is.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
So everybody keeps asking, what's the system look like this weekend? What do you guys think? I mean, in terms of severe weather and also the snow potential on the backside.
Oh, is there snow potential on the backside? Well, up in Colorado?
Dakota's up there.
No, okay.
Nebraska, maybe even. What do
Right.
you guys think? I
I think it's gonna be there's gonna be a big outbreak.
It's a strong
It's all-
system. It's instability, I think, maybe the feature right now.
yeah.
Look at all the snow too.
I
That's
don't
supposed
like
to
the
fall.
yeah. I
There's
don't-
gonna be a blizzard in southern Saskatchewan. It looks like a foot of snow or more. I know Greg and Sean. You can follow them at Canada Greg and also Sean Schofer, SeanSchoferTVN on Twitter. They're gonna be chasing this and streaming the blizzard live.
Oh, nice. And we also like to take time to give our condolences to Brandon Walker, who passed away on Saturday. He was a storm chaser out of Georgia.
Yeah, lost another
Another guy.
great chaser. So.
Our thoughts are with his family and friends right now. What do you guys think, though,
Rest in
about
peace.
this system? You think a tornado outbreak? Or you think more of a linear thing, linear junk?
I like how the surface winds are back.
When we're back,
Yeah.
I think the NAM looks a lot better than.
Look like?
And this is not. Look at the NAM right now. This isn't all the way out yet. It's only out to 57.
You guys can go to twisterdata.com to look at your model imagery. It's a good place.
We still have another 12 hours to go to wait for it. I looked at the 12Z and the 18Z. I like the NAM a lot better than GFS.
That's what I looked at the NAM briefly earlier today, and
Yeah.
I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah. The GFS has kind of more. The
It's
surface
more
level
right.
occluded up from
Right,
the north.
right. It looks more of a linear type deal.
Although this system seemed to follow the GFS a little bit more closely, not in terms of strength, but for Athena, it definitely took the track that the GFS had really close to the coast.
The NAM had it further east towards the Cape Cod
Yeah.
area, if I remember.
The NAM had it kind of starting out east and then coming into Cape Cod, whereas. Yeah. How has the Euro been doing? It seemed like it did really good with hurricanes.
Supposedly,
Well,
predicted-
yeah, the Euro, Sandy basically went between the GFS and the Euro. The Euro had it actually at a bunch of times, had it hitting the Delmarva Peninsula and even into kind of the Chesapeake Bay area. It trended a bit further north, but the GFS consistently having it kind of almost moving due west in the kind of Long Island area. And so I think the Euro won out. It was definitely in between the Euro and the GFS, but I think the Euro outperformed the GFS for Sandy anyway.
Yeah. I think that Sandy's tough, though, because a lot of people say, oh, the models, I heard some people in the media saying the models aren't handling this well because we've never seen it before. But the numerical models aren't really based on, or for the most part, aren't based on climatology like the GFS and NAM. They're, more based on the equations, the atmospheric physics. But the problem when you merge a hurricane with a mid-latitude cyclone is there's two totally different processes that drive them.
Right.
And so how they merge, the timing, and all that is so different. I mean, we look at a totally different suite of models to forecast hurricanes. I mean, sometimes the GFS does well when they get in mid-latitudes, but when you have steering currents and everything. But with something like this, you have no idea how they're going to interact. And a hurricane is warm rain processes. You have a bunch of those little drops. Remember how that's why they accumulate so fast, and that's why radar doesn't do as well with estimated accumulated precip. So you're throwing in all these little warm droplets into the Appalachians, and how is that going to turn into snowfall? I mean, who knows?
Right.
And in Elkins, I mean, we had huge flakes, but then a lot of times mixed in, you'd have these tiny little rain droplets, even though it was 29 to 30. So I wonder if you have all these small droplets. You also have 500 millibar lift for the mid-latitude cyclone to get the big dendrites, and you've got all these super cold water droplets. And a lot of that, I think, led to some of the trees coming down because you have freezing rain.
And mixed in there. It's fascinating because, like you said, it's an unprecedented event. Just meteorologically speaking, just something that I think will be studied a long time.
Yeah, forever probably, and it's the combination of it shows how the scales, you can go from storm scale to mesoscale to synoptic scale, how they all impact each other. It's
Right.
what do we call it, Rick, back from our meteorology classes. You've been out of the game a long time, but the energy
What do we call
cascade.
what?
The energy cascade.
We'll take another question. Charles Harden says, my daughter wants to go chasing this spring. What advice would you give her? She has so much of her daddy in her.
What's an advice for ETT, putting the extreme in tornado?
Yeah,
tours?
I mean, I think the best way to go, a lot of people do this, is to sign up for a tornado tour. Obviously, I'm partial to extreme tornado tours because, we run that. And I think it's kind of a way to kind of get your feet wet,
So you would recommend going on a tour?
Yeah, I honestly think that's the best way. You do not, I really recommend not
Just going out there.
and not, because there's so many things that can catch you off guard. It's a very complicated process when you're out chasing, and it is dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. It's extremely dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So just to get your feet wet and get a little bit of experience under your belt, I think is definitely the way to go.
I'd go to Skywarn or National Weather Service, Spotter Talk, stuff like that. Too.
Yeah,
education.
Anybody's local National Weather
Yeah.
Service, Skyward
They
training.
usually have those around late winter, I think.
Rick, when we started storm chasing, did we do it the right way? Or should I say, a leading question is, did we not do it the right way? Maybe more appropriate.
I mean, I guess it all depends on what you're looking for.
Keep in mind that
Storm
the
chasing.
opinions of anybody during this podcast don't try what we do at home, and whatever Rick is about to say, that's his independent
Could you
opinion.
sense
Go ahead, let it rip.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, if you view a tornadic storm as something scenic, something that you want to view from a distance, you could probably do that safely if you have a pretty good amount of weather knowledge. Someone who's a fan of yours who might be really interested in weather could probably do that. Best, like Dave said, best is probably to go on a tour, but you could probably view it from a few miles away and be okay. If you were like us and you're just looking to just experience the most extreme thing you possibly could, that can get you into trouble.
Did I lead you down a path of trouble a few times? I
don't think either one. I don't think
the
there's
Floyd
anyone to
thing,
blame.
I remember when we chased Floyd and we're in the mobile home with mattresses on top of us. I remember you saying, "This is the last time I'm letting you convince me to do something like this again." Remember that, but
Well, that was different because
uncomfortable and no phone.
it was the duration. I think it just wore. I think the duration wore us down. But
I was doing good.
why'd you wake me up then?
Okay. Good point. Yeah, I mean, it's a little scary because Rick was asleep, the fish tank, and there's the mobile home's about to blow apart. I'm like, kind of feel like being alone at that point. You had no cell phone, nothing. I couldn't talk to myself, and we ran out of three slices of
Reed was
bologna.
wandering around. I was like ghost hunting around the house. I don't know what he was doing.
I had no shirt either, remember? 'Cause I only brought one change of clothes to chase my first hurricane.
Naked right now.
Remember the water blister that formed in my forehead? Do you remember that when we were on our
remember
way
you talking
out?
about
Like
that,
it was
yeah.
so moist. I had this water blister. It's like 3 inches long, like right here, and I could push it in. It's like just so moist.
All right.
It could have been something in Ernest's house. It could have been some kind of black widow
Spider.
bite or something.
There's a lot more danger. There's like
Something
Do
hidden
you
in
realize
the,
you're breathing
below.
in deadly spores in TVN headquarters right now? Anyway, I mean, it's not. It's
I'm okay with
gross
that.
in here. Everybody's moved out though. It's just basically just me living here now.
Where's Chris right now?
Nobody wants to live with a freak like me. No, Chris is up in Michigan
So-
until Monday, but yeah, I think it's just.
Oh yeah, just
the
to
poker players are playing poker like Mexico, I think, because
but just to clarify, when we talked about Brandon Walker earlier, he didn't die while he was storm chasing. He died in a hunting accident, so there's no storm chasing involved with that. Just wanted to clarify that.
regardless, I mean, he was one of the. He was a passionate guy. Reminds us of a lot of us when we were that age, getting into storm chasing, and it's always sad because
He was way too young. Way too young.
Yeah.
And I got a question
shouldn't
from
happen,
Britt.
wasn't it? Yeah, it's just disappointing. And we've lost a lot of great friends and a lot of
Yeah.
great storm chasers over the years for unnecessary reasons. And just remember, life is short, guys. You never know.
Yeah. So I got a question from Britt. So McGowan, did you miss chasing while all these dudes were out with Sandy? I actually don't enjoy hurricanes. I'm actually more of a supercell tornado guy. I don't. Yeah, fair weather, I guess as you call it. Yeah.
I'm with
I like
you-
eye
I'm with
candy.
you
I'm like
on that.
addicted to
I
it.
mean, I don't really find hurricanes all that.
Yeah,
It's just-
interesting.
It's frightening, and you're sort of trapped. It's claustrophobic, and it's
It's like survival mode or something.
yeah.
I kind of like the
Scanlon
whole
loves it.
survival, like when you chase it, because when your cell phones are going off, it's like all the stress of bank accounts, like dominators, deadlines, dissertations, like if you have a social life like that, all that goes away, and it's just kind of you, nature,
It
the
does it.
storm, and helping people out.
It does that for supercells, just not hurricanes. I just feel like if you're trapped.
But you've got your back.
Yeah, I've
issues,
got
too.
back. I have a broken back. I just have permanent pain, so I can't sleep in a car like we were in. What was it, Isaac? Sitting upright, trying to sleep.
And then we
Car,
finally
4 people in the car. And the freaking gotta go up another level. Oh, gotta go up another level.
here comes the water.
Rick thrives in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't know about thrive, but I mean,
No, you were panicking. You were pure panic.
Oh,
you had like a moment.
Was he really?
You had like one.
no, it wasn't panicking.
I want to hear the true story here.
I mean, it wasn't a panic, but I was thinking, if this storm is not moving, and it's just over the water, it's just going to sit there and hammer us for 6-7 days.
What were you worried about?
And I wasn't. It's not like
Surge.
we were staying at Hilton.
Surge? Well, you were worried
And
about
it was
So
coming
I wasn't
quick.
worried about dying.
It was just like it was like the brief moment of weakness he had. He's just like, I'm panicking.
Did
Then
you
it-
say that?
yeah.
You said that? You admitted it?
I have no problem admitting it. I'm not like this. I have a lot of phobias. I'm scared of like parasitic worms. I'm scared of waves. I have phobias.
But when, because I've never chased that was my second hurricane. So when Reed panicked, I'm like, why is he panicking? No, I'm panicking.
Right. If Reed starts panicking.
Yeah.
No, I panic every single time we intercept a tornado. I mean, I panic a little
I'm
bit.
purely calm during that. I mean, I'm just like,
I did.
Wyoming?
Yeah, you were bad. I was just gonna say.
no, I'm like, it's right here, because they're just like I'm pointing at the tornado. It's like right behind them. I'm like, it's right there. Move your car.
What
And
are
they
the
just
forms?
all just sat there and just stared at me. I'm like, I was getting ready to like literally just take the car and start pushing it out of the way because it was coming right for their car and right
And
where.
then I was like, Dick, no, that's the RFD. The tornado's back here.
What is that? Is that next week's episode? I think it is.
No,
isn't it?
next week is the intercept in Canada.
The Canadian one.
On Tornado Chasers, from here on out, it's pure tornado action because the first part of the season and much of May was really inactive. It was a grind. I lost about 10 years off my life. I mean, we all did. Made a lot of gas station food. I took a lot of preservatives, a lot of chemicals that like are in a gas station sandwich that like kill mice and stuff.
This is the
But May 22nd is huge.
Divide County one, right?
Where Dick was trying to get us to punch illegally across the border to intercept the tornado, and I was like,
Remember they were just sitting there like
Stay
watching
patient.
us? We're like right at the border. There's like a tornado
Yeah.
forming right there. We're just like,
this is Dick's hero moment, though. I have to admit, I mean, this is why storm chasing is a team thing. And if I was out there by myself, I mean, it'd be a disaster, actually. I mean, I wouldn't even make it to the storm. First of all, I'd drive around in circles. So
oh,
much.
just because we went north there or whatever?
But at the last second, I wanted to go east, and Dick wanted to go north, and he just took over, went left, surged at the tornado, and we got an we may or may not have gotten an intercept. You'll have to watch it episode 8.
And then it dissipated after that, right?
Yeah.
And then there's not. Remember that one that was way over on
We
the
saw
ground?
like
There were
9 or
2
10.
of them. Yeah, there's tons of them that day.
9
Were
or
they
10
reported?
tornadoes.
No, and I showed the National Weather Service pictures and everything, and it was because it didn't have a tornado warning. It's in a big radar hole.
Right.
But we reported it.
Yeah.
And they would never
They
believe our
were-
report. They
yeah.
called it a land spout.
The newspapers were asking us for photos. And
It's like, listen, we've cut. I mean, why would they? Like, people never believe our reports a lot of times because if they didn't have a warning out in the first place, I mean, you got to.
Yeah, I think it's politics.
Well, I was like-
politics. If they didn't have a tornado warning out, and there's one.
You know,
Yeah, it
we've seen
affects their-
485 of these. You know, I'm telling you, this is a tornado.
485.
Is that right, the number?
No, I don't.
That's the
I don't.
closest you've been in 0
I don't
meters?
keep.
Zero
Zero
Hey, what's your
meters.
official count?
I don't keep track, honestly. I mean,
You just say the number.
no, I just threw a number out there. I actually get a
Is that
tattoo.
a different number?
Get a little tattoo. No, I don't know. I think maybe what we should probably keep track because like there's a lot of people that are obsessed with keeping track of their numbers. You know.
Yeah, but it's
Then
so
I count
ambiguous,
one.
though. You know.
I mean, you could count a dust devil as a tornado. I mean, it's a rotating column of air, not a supercell tornado. But
Right.
Who has the highest? Who's seen the most tornadoes? Who's?
you think? I mean, it depends on your counting. See, a lot of people are pretty liberal with their
Depends on how you count. If you're trying to go for the Guinness Book of World Records or something, you know.
I
it
guarantee you,
might-
I know who has the most busts out of anybody. It's probably me,
Oh,
honestly.
you?
More blue sky busts than I.
Well, you chase more than anyone, so you're gonna have more busts. But then you're gonna see the needle in the haystack too.
Sometimes, but there are also times when you miss the needle in the haystack as well. And then
That's what it's
2006 might happen, and then
Just briefly glancing at it, Saturday, it looks like things come together like right after dark, actually.
Yeah, that's kind of the theme for this spring.
Yeah.
and remember too, we changed the clock, so we got
So it's-
1 hour less of daylight.
Help.
No, I'm just kidding. Actually, it's a joke, but you know,
Looks like it does hold off possibly till. It looks like a 5 to 7 time frame.
Rick didn't get it. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, just briefly glancing at it, looks like things come together like right at dark.
The
I'd
moisture
say.
is. maybe
Yeah, the
some-
moisture is really going to be an issue. And
But it is November
instability.
too, and if there's no, what is it? What do the soundings look like in the instability axis? Because if there's still low cloud
Where
bases,
are you
and-
looking?
Right.
right now we're looking at
Kansas.
the NAM.
Look at the NAM model.
Oh, not where. Let's see what you-
Just came out. 72
All right, we're
hours.
looking at Southern Plains. Looks like Saturday, Sunday. Wind shear looks favorable for tornadoes, and there's no cap on that. See, so even though the
This
moisture,
is at 0Z.
but I mean the moisture still is like in the 50s. But look at that.
You get a good low level
It's not even close to
lapse
that.
rate there.
Yeah, that's not even close. I mean, those low level lapse rates. That's decent moisture.
What time does the sun go down now? 5:30 or 6? 5:30?
Central time. So.
Do you think Dave was one of those guys in the map room that'd be like, "Oh, it's November. There's not gonna be any tornadoes."
No, I was the opposite.
You're a
I
wish.
was the opposite.
You're a wish caster.
Yeah, people made fun of me because I was going out to chase in like October. And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
What was that accent you were doing? That was an interesting accent. I could.
It's probably
That
kind
was
of
like a
Michigan.
combination of.
I wasn't trying to do it. I think that's the voice
Just
of the people that are like rip. Yeah, that's what they.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
say that again in that accent?
No, I can't.
It's like a redneck Kermit the Frog or something. I don't know. It's really interesting.
I'm not good at accents. Rick's like one of those people that, never mind.
Hey, Dave. Happy
Rick had his
anniversary.
Delaware accent. Can you say
yeah.
hot dog? Hot dog?
Hot dog.
Are you kidding me?
Hey, do you guys remember what today is? Today is 1 year anniversary of my first intercept in the Dominator.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike Scanlon, for reminding me.
Tipton, Oklahoma Day. If you guys want to see that too, you can we actually decided to release our first episode for free on YouTube, and you just go to tvandweather.com, and we want to show the kind of quality that we're turning out with the episode, so we released that one for free, and then gave everybody who purchased episode 1, we gave them a free voucher for episode 7, but it's $1.99. You can get a beef muchacho for like $3. So I just think you're helping us. Like, I put every single cent to my name into this series, and
What is a beef machaco?
It's a
I get
Taco
I get it
Bueno.
every day at Taco
The
Bueno.
taco. The taco.
Reed and I are,
Muchacho.
Reed and I are Bueno heads for sure.
You go to Taco Bell every day?
And some-
Bueno.
Sometimes
Taco
when
Bueno.
Is there a Bueno close to here?
No, it's by my house. over
I
there.
drive all the way
12th.
over there. But sometimes when it's cold outside, I'll get a warm beef muchacho and keep them in my pockets to stay warm.
That's my favorite voice that you do. It's easily.
That's how I used to talk. Yeah.
So, what are we chasing? Are we chasing Saturday?
Yeah.
We're definitely chasing.
We're out.
I hope you're chasing Saturday.
We're chasing.
Hey, you never know with this guy. He's kind of losing. He's kind of losing his passion lately.
Yeah, right. I drive so well. But anyway, I don't have anything else.
I'll probably chase the backside.
You guys do your
Big
warm
fan of the backside,
sector.
isn't he?
You guys have summer camp in the warm sector. I'll chase the
cold section.
Summer camp.
deformationzone.com. That's me. But no, they had reports of 60 inches of snow in parts of the upper mountains.
It's funny
of
because
Virginia.
I was obsessed with that side for a little while too. Like I saw some of the snowfall too, and it was kind of like an upslope deal too when you had the northerly winds, westerly wrapping back in. It looked like it was going to be pretty crazy. I was a little bit jealous, I must admit, because I like snowstorms.
Well, jealousy is one of the most, I think it's one of the most worst emotions out there. It'll drive people to do such mean things. My opinion. Just kidding. Okay.
You guys have anything else you guys want to talk about?
I've been working on my dissertation a lot, so.
You guys have anything else you guys want to bring up here?
Did you guys chase the big Tipton tornado this day?
Yeah, we just
Yep.
talked about
they
that.
Intercepted it. That was good.
We all were on that, weren't we?
Don't lie about the accents. I've heard you making fun of Southern accents.
That was probably me.
Uh-oh.
That's probably Nick. Yeah, I've been living in Oklahoma for 15 years, but I think that we've got a little Oklahoma accent.
Got a little Oklahoma accent.
Oh yeah.
That storm's fixing the tornado. That's how Joel talks. That storm's fixing the tornado. It's fixing too.
It's fixing. It's fixing.
But no, Michigan's.
I have relatives from Kentucky, so I don't have a problem with it.
I think I like the Southern accent better. I mean, the Michigander accent sounds horrible.
Yeah, how do you not have that anymore?
I go out and my mom's like,
Oh, nasal.
"Oh my God, Reed! Oh my God, what happens?"
Terry too.
What happened, Reed?
Oh, Terry.
Judas Priest.
Remember when I blew up my Lumina and drove up over the lawn and my mom was standing there?
Exactly what I was thinking about. Your mom and your aunt just came out.
Rick, we've been roommates. We had gone through like generation of college students. We're still in college, grad school, working hard to continue to expand the mind. I'm on year number 15 now.
Build on that pyramid of knowledge.
What's the record, I wonder? Has there been someone what do you think the longest somebody's gone to school nonstop from like 5 years old?
I mean, I see a lot of people. I have a couple of people that work in the biological survey, and they finished their dissertations. I think they're both 35.
It's 7 years is the limit, I think, but I think you can get extensions.
Right. I mean,
do a
but
lot of side
you
projects.
have gaps in there where like I was doing.
Yeah, you know all about
different
that.
Things. So, I mean, it's different. It's not like graduate school is a lot different than undergrad or high school.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you're clocking in every day 8 to 3 kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just kind of it's more like a lifetime of education. That's the way I like to look at it.
Yeah.
A lifetime of learning.
It's a great, relaxed lifestyle, though. Like, I miss, pre-storm chasers. I mean, it was just storm chasing, work on your dissertation, your research, and then, watching Railroad Road Rules Challenge with Chris in the evenings. That was an easy lifestyle. Now we work 24/7 like Walmart. A weekend is like a 16-hour workday. I mean,
No, I'm really happy with the way my life is right now. I mean, it's I'm always busy doing stuff for school, but you kind of make your own hours and you do it at your own pace. And
listen, the question everybody wants to know: are you coming back on the team? Are you gonna be back on Team Dominator? You're taking about 10 years off, but someone with your just kind of raw natural strength. I mean, are you coming back to the team?
I don't think so. I don't want to disappoint anybody, but
No means yes.
All
I
right,
bet
guys.
Rick will be back.
All right, guys, we're running out of time. Thanks for joining us this week. We actually have a podcast before we chase on Saturday, so we'll let everybody know. Thanks, Dave Holder. Thanks, Rick Thomas.
Thanks for having me on.
And the thing about the podcast that we're doing is we're not going to always release these on Tuesday. The beauty of a podcast and the beauty of internet content is you can let it rip whenever it's appropriate. And so just stay tuned to our social networks. We'll let you know when we're going to launch one. We'll kind of try to loosely stick to the Tuesday night, Wednesday night But with the election last night, I was actually looking at the nor'easter so much that I forgot that it was election night, which is embarrassing.
Couldn't believe that.
Yeah,
Pretty hard to do on Twitter. There were a lot of people tweeting about
but
it.
I was just looking at the models and
References.
everything nonstop, and like it's embarrassing. It's just OCD. I thought it was
alright.
Monday and not Tuesday, but yeah, I've worn my space bar has all
Figure
that.
it out anyway. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you guys on Saturday.
Never stop chasing, right?